"Why are you doing this to me?" Amanda whispered, her voice shaking and tears streaming down her pale cheeks. "You don't even know me." Elon Musk placed his hand on the shoulder of the exhausted pregnant woman. His gaze was unwavering, as was his determination. "Because the system is broken, Amanda. Because no one should have to choose between their own health and their child's survival. Because sometimes the world needs a reminder of humanity." He handed her an envelope. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a check for an amount that made her gasp in shock. This is $1 million?" Her voice turned into a breathless whisper, her eyes widening in disbelief. "No, Amanda, it's more than money," Elon replied, his eyes shining with suppressed emotion. "It's a promise." At that moment, she felt the first contraction. Her watery eyes widened in horror. "Oh God, the baby. It's coming. Too soon." Blood began to spread across the floor of the gas station. The most exciting part is yet to come. Stay tuned to find out how it all ends. And while you're here, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. A cold wind blew through the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. As the clock on the dashboard of his Tesla read 2 a.m., Elon Musk, exhausted after 20 hours of negotiations on a new energy initiative, decided to make a stop at a small 24-hour gas station called Oasis. It was one of those nights when even billionaires feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. The gas station was barely afloat. Cracked asphalt, half-erased markings, and a blinking neon sign whose O had long since stopped glowing created the image of a dying business in a godforsaken corner of the country. There were no charging stations for electric cars, and Elon had to stop only to catch his breath and maybe buy a bottle of water. As he stepped inside, the jingling doorbell echoed through the empty space. Fluorescent lights cast a cruel glow over dusty shelves of merchandise and cracked linoleum. A woman stood behind the counter. She was young, no more than mid-20s, but her face had aged with weariness and worry. Her stretched-out uniform barely hid the prominence of her belly. "Welcome to the Oasis," she said mechanically, not looking up from the tattered ledger. Only after a pause did she look up and notice her unusual visitor. "How can I?" she began, but her voice trailed off as she recognized him. You're Elon Musk, right?" Elon smiled, taking off his sunglasses, even though it was already dark outside. A celebrity's habit of hiding from unwanted attention. "Guilty," he replied with a slight smile. "And you?" His gaze moved to her badge. "Amanda," she replied, instinctively covering her stomach. "Amanda Hartley." "Nice to meet you, Amanda," Elon said, walking over to the drinks cooler. "Got any water?" "Back row, left," she replied, trying to remain professional, though her voice betrayed a mixture of awe and confusion. Elon picked up a bottle of water and returned to the counter. As Amanda scanned the purchase, he noticed her wincing in pain, leaning slightly and leaning on the counter. "Are you okay?" he asked with genuine concern. Amanda sat up quickly, as if caught in the act of something shameful. "Yeah, sure. It's just, my back. You know, in my situation..." "What month are you in?" Elon asked, nodding at her belly. 8, she replied with a hint of pride that was immediately replaced by anxiety. "I was supposed to go on maternity leave 2 weeks ago, but..." She didn't finish the sentence, but it didn't take a genius to figure out the reason. Money. Or more accurately, the lack of it. "Are you here alone? At 2 in the morning?" Elon asked, his voice becoming more insistent. "Is this safe in your condition?" Amanda gave a bitter laugh. "Security is a luxury, Mr. Musk, and I have bills that don't wait." She handed him the check and change. Their fingers brushed, and Elon noticed that her hands were rough and cracked, not the hands of someone who was supposed to be carrying new life. "And the child's father?" The question burst out before he could stop it. Amanda's face darkened. "Brandon? He disappeared when he saw the 2 lines on the test. Said it wasn't his problem." There was no bitterness in her voice, only a tired acceptance, as if she had long since stopped expecting anything better from life. "The last time I saw him was in a photo on social media. He was in Miami with some model. That's the whole story." Elon took a sip of water, his eyes fixed on Amanda. Something about her stirred in him a deep sense of injustice. Here was a woman creating new life, the most wonderful thing humanity could do, and society had left her to struggle alone. "Do you have support? Family, friends?" he continued, aware that he was asking too personal questions, but unable to stop himself. "My mother died of cancer 2 years ago. My father is somewhere in California with a new family. We don't talk." She shrugged. I have a neighbor, Mrs. Donovan, who looks after me sometimes, but she has her own problems. 7 grandchildren and bad knees. Suddenly, the doorbell rang again, and a middle-aged man in a worn denim jacket walked into the gas station. He smelled faintly of alcohol, and his unsteady gait suggested recent drinking. "Hello, sweetie," he said to Amanda, in a tone that immediately made Elon tense up. "A pack of Marlboros and a bottle of Jack." Amanda changed immediately. Her shoulders slumped, her voice quieter. "Sorry, Mr. Raines, but we don't sell alcohol after midnight. You know the county rules." The man frowned. "Oh, come on, Mandy. You can make an exception for a regular, right?" He winked and leaned closer across the counter. "I'll pay cash. No one will know." "Sorry, but rules are rules," Amanda replied firmly, although Elon noticed her fingers nervously fiddling with the edge of the cash register. "You know your boss makes exceptions for me." The man's voice grew harsher. "Don't play the saint, especially in your position." He gestured to her stomach. Before Amanda could respond, Elon stepped forward. "I think the lady said clearly, no." His voice was quiet, but there was steel in it. The man turned sharply, ready for confrontation, but froze when he recognized Elon. "What the heck? You?" "Yes, I am," Elon interrupted. "And I'd rather you show some respect to a woman who's just doing her job." The man hesitated, his eyes darting between Elon and Amanda. Finally, he mumbled something unintelligible, threw a $5 bill on the counter for the cigarettes, and quickly walked out. As the door closed, Amanda exhaled. "Thank you, Mr. Raines. He's a difficult client." "Do you often have situations like this?" Elon asked, his face darkening at the thought of a pregnant woman regularly facing such risks. "Often enough," Amanda admitted. "The night shift attracts all sorts of interesting characters." "And your boss makes you work in such conditions? In your situation?" Amanda smiled bitterly. "Forcing me? Mr. Musk, I begged him to let me work the night shift. They pay $1.50 more an hour." This admission shocked Elon. He tried to imagine how desperate a woman must be to ask for a night job in her 8th month of pregnancy for a measly $1.50. "What about health insurance? Prenatal care?" Amanda shook her head. "I have partial insurance, but it barely covers anything. My last doctor's visit cost me $250 out of pocket. I just can't afford to go as often as I should." She suddenly turned pale and clutched her stomach. Her face was distorted with pain. "Amanda," Elon walked around the counter to her. "What happened?" "Nothing. Just it." She breathed heavily. "False contractions. The doctor says it's normal. They started a week ago." "Are you sure? Should I call an ambulance?" "No," she cried with unexpected force. "I can't. The insurance won't cover it. It'll ruin me." Elon was shocked. In one of the richest countries in the world, a pregnant woman was afraid to call an ambulance because of the financial consequences. The pain seemed to recede, and Amanda straightened up, though her face remained pale. "I'm fine, really," she assured him, seeing his skeptical look. "It will pass." Elon watched silently as she tried to get back to work, adjusting the gum packs on the counter. Her movements were slow and careful, like someone accustomed to constant discomfort. "Amanda," he finally said, "how much do you make a month?" She froze, surprised by the directness of the question. "It's personal, isn't it?" "Forgive my tactlessness," Elon nodded, "but I have a reason for asking." Amanda hesitated, then shrugged. "About $2,000 a good month, plus tips if you're lucky." "And how much does it cost to rent?" $1,100 for a studio in West Phoenix. "Not the best neighborhood, but what can you do?" Elon nodded, quickly doing the math in his head. "What about medical expenses? Food? Utilities?" Amanda laughed nervously. "Mr. Musk, with all due respect, why do you need to know this? Are you planning a new social experiment on how the poor survive?" There was a bitterness in her voice that made Elon realize that his questions might have seemed condescending. "I'm sorry," he said sincerely. "I didn't mean to offend you. It's just—" He paused, considering his words. "I was shocked by your situation. No one should have to work under those conditions, especially when they're expecting a child." Amanda softened. "Life isn't fair, Mr. Musk, but we do what we have to do." "What if you had a choice?" Elon asked. "If money was no object, what would you do?" The question seemed to take her by surprise. For a moment, her eyes lit up, as if he had opened a door to a world she had forbidden herself to dream about. I always wanted to finish college," she admitted quietly. "I studied nursing, got 2 years in when my mom got sick. Had to quit to take care of her and work. Her hand instinctively went to her stomach. And you know what's most ironic? I dreamed of becoming a midwife, to help other women bring babies into this world, and now I can't even provide proper prenatal care for my own child. Elon was silent, absorbed in her story. A plan was already forming in his head. Thanks for the water, he finally said, though the bottle remained untouched. And for the conversation. He took a business card out of his pocket and placed it on the counter. This is my personal number, not a public one. Amanda took the card, puzzled. It simply had a name and phone number, no logos or titles. Why do I need this? She asked. Call me tomorrow morning, Elon replied. I have a proposition that might interest you. Without waiting for an answer, he headed for the exit. Mr. Musk, Amanda called out. I'm not looking for charity. Elon turned, his gaze serious. And I'm not offering charity, Amanda. I'm offering an opportunity. It's up to you to decide whether you'll take it. With that, he walked out into the night, leaving Amanda standing behind the counter, clutching a business card in her hand and not understanding what had just happened. The next morning found Amanda in her tiny studio on the west side of Phoenix. The room was clean but sparsely furnished. A fold-out couch that served as a bed, a small kitchenette, and a half-assembled crib from a thrift store in the corner. She hadn't slept much that night. Partly because of the discomfort, it was hard to find a comfortable position in her condition, but mostly because of the business card that lay on the table, seeming to radiate a strange energy. Elon Musk gave her his number. Elon Musk wanted her to call him. It seemed unreal, like a plot from one of those soap operas that her late mother loved so much. This is some kind of joke, she said out loud, looking at the card, or I've gone crazy. And yet, he seemed so sincere, so concerned about her situation. What if? No. Amanda shook her head. Billionaires don't give money to random pregnant cashiers. That doesn't happen in the real world. She was about to throw the card away when she felt a sharp pain in her stomach, more severe than usual. Grasping the edge of the table, Amanda closed her eyes and began to count as the doctor had taught her. 1, 2, 3. The pain didn't subside. Rather, it grew, spreading throughout the body. 25, 26. Finally, after 40 seconds, the pain began to subside. Too long for false contractions, and too soon for real ones. There were still weeks to go before the birth. Amanda scrambled to the phone and dialed her doctor's number. After a few rings, an answering machine answered, informing her that Dr. Wilson was seeing patients at another clinic and would not be available until Monday. Today was Saturday. Darn it, Amanda whispered, feeling panic begin to creep in. Another wave of pain caused her to double over. In desperation, she looked at Elon's business card. What did she have to lose? With trembling fingers, she dialed the number, expecting to hear a message that the number was invalid or busy. Instead, a male voice answered after the first ring. Elon Musk. Amanda almost dropped her phone in surprise. He actually gave her his real number. Mr. Musk, this is Amanda, from the gas station. You said to call... Amanda, his voice was cheerful, as if he'd been expecting her to call. I'm glad you decided to call. How are you feeling today? Not very well, to be honest, she admitted, wincing as a new wave of pain hit. I feel like something's wrong. Elon's tone changed instantly. What's going on? Do you need medical attention? I don't know. The contractions are stronger than usual, but it's still early. The doctor is unavailable until Monday. Where are you now? There was determination in his voice. At home, but address, he demanded. I'll send you the best obstetrician in town. Immediately. Amanda hesitated for only a second before dictating her address. The situation was too serious to allow pride to get the better of her. Stay on the line, Elon said. She could hear him barking orders to someone in the background. Amanda, help is on the way. 10 minutes tops. I can't... Insurance? Forget about insurance, he snapped. I'll pay for everything. All that matters now is your health and the baby's health. Amanda couldn't hold back her tears. Why are you doing this to me? There was a moment of silence. Because I can, he finally answered. And because I must. No one should have to choose between their health and their financial survival. Exactly 8 minutes later, there was a knock on Amanda's door. An elegant middle-aged woman stood there with a medical case. Amanda Hartley, I'm Dr. Lauren James, OBGYN. Mr. Musk sent me. May I come in? Over the next half hour, Dr. James performed a thorough examination, using portable equipment that Amanda suspected cost more than her entire apartment. "You are having premature contractions," the doctor finally said, "but there is no reason for extreme alarm yet. However, you need observation. I recommend hospitalization for a few days." "But I can't. I have work." Dr. James placed a gentle hand on Amanda's shoulder. "Mr. Musk has already made all the arrangements. Phoenix Medical is waiting for you, the best private clinic in town. And don't worry about work. He said he'll take care of that." Amanda shook her head, unable to believe what was happening. "But why? I'm nothing to him. Just a chance meeting." Dr. James smiled. "You know, I've been working with Mr. Musk for a few years now. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that when he sees a problem he can solve, he doesn't hesitate. For him, it's not about money or charity. It's about making the world a little better, one solution at a time." An hour later, Amanda was in a spacious private room at Phoenix Medical, hooked up to monitors that tracked her and her baby's condition. It all felt surreal: crisp white sheets, the quiet hum of high-tech equipment, attentive staff asking if she needed anything. "Miss Hartley," a young nurse peered into the room. "You have a visitor. Mr. Musk asks if you are ready to see him." Amanda nervously adjusted her hair and nodded. A moment later, the door opened, and Elon walked in, dressed in a simple black t-shirt and jeans. He held a bouquet of wildflowers in his hands. "Amanda," he smiled, "how are you feeling?" "Better," she replied, still not believing it was real. "The contractions have stopped. Dr. James says they were a warning. I need to get more rest." Elon nodded, placing the flowers on the bedside table. "That's why I'm here, to discuss how to provide you with this rest." He sat down on a chair next to the bed. "I contacted your employer, Mr. Finch, I believe, a businessman of sorts." From Ilona's tone, Amanda realized that the conversation was not easy. "We discussed the possibility of providing you with paid leave before and after childbirth, with retention of your position and salary." Amanda looked at him in surprise. "And he agreed? Finch? The same one who refused Martha sick leave when she had appendicitis?" Elon smiled slightly. "Let's just say my arguments were compelling. And perhaps in the future I will become an investor in the expansion of the Oasis gas station network." "You want to invest in a gas station? Why?" "A strategic partnership," he answered simply, "and an opportunity to influence corporate policy. We are discussing several changes, including the introduction of paid sick leave and an improved health package for all employees." Amanda was stunned. "You did this for everyone?" "It was the right decision," Elon shrugged, as if buying a stake in a business to improve the working conditions of ordinary employees was the most ordinary thing. "But this is just the beginning." He leaned forward, his gaze serious. "Amanda, I want to offer you more than temporary help. I want to invest in your future." What do you mean?" "You said you wanted to be a midwife, that you dropped out of school to take care of your mother. I want you to finish your education." Amanda felt her heart beat faster. "That's impossible. I'm going to have a baby. The expenses—" "It's all paid for," Elon interrupted. "Tuition, books, childcare, plus a stipend enough to live comfortably. All you have to do is focus on your studies and your baby." Amanda looked at him, unable to believe her ears. "But why? Why me? You don't even know me." Elon thought for a moment. "You know, I've met a lot of people in my life, rich, famous, powerful, but rarely have I met someone like you, with such fortitude, such determination, despite all the obstacles." He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Phoenix skyline. "The world needs people like you, Amanda. Caring, competent nurses and midwives. And your baby deserves a mother who lives up to her potential." He turned to her. "This isn't charity. This is an investment. In you, in your child, in society." Amanda felt tears running down her cheeks. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Elon smiled. "And start thinking about a name for your clinic, because I'm sure that one day you won't just be a midwife, but the owner of your own maternity center." Amanda opened her mouth to respond when she suddenly felt a sharp pain, much worse than the previous ones. Her face contorted and the monitor next to the bed began to beep. "Amanda!" Elon rushed to her, pressing the button to call the nurse. "Something's wrong," she breathed out, clutching the sheets. "A baby! Too soon!" Dr. James and a team of nurses rushed into the room. She took one look at the monitor and quickly gave orders. "We have a placental abruption," she announced, checking Amanda's vital signs. We need to perform a C-section immediately. Get the OR ready. Amanda was quickly moved onto a gurney as Dr. James explained the situation. The placenta is separating from the wall of the uterus. This is threatening the baby's oxygen supply and could cause severe bleeding in the mother. We need to act quickly. Save the baby, Amanda whispered, her voice shaking with pain and fear. Please save my baby. Elon grabbed her hand. Everything will be fine, Amanda. You're in the best clinic with the best doctors. I promise everything will be fine. Mr. Musk, you're going to have to stay here, the nurse said as they approached the operating room doors. No, let him come with me, Amanda suddenly demanded. Please, I don't want to be alone. Dr. James quickly assessed the situation and nodded. Okay, get him some sterile clothing, now. Within minutes, Elon was dressed in scrubs and was next to Amanda in the operating room, holding her hand as the anesthesiologist prepared her for surgery. Why are you doing this to me? Amanda whispered as she was wheeled down the hallway, her voice shaking and tears welling in her eyes. You don't even know me. Elon, walking next to the gurney, took her hand. His gaze was calm and determined. Because the system is broken, Amanda. Because no one should have to choose between their own health and the well-being of their child. Because sometimes the world needs a reminder of humanity. Outside the operating room doors, Amanda squeezed his hand one last time. The anesthesiologist had already prepared the drugs for anesthesia, and Amanda felt her consciousness begin to cloud. The last thing she saw was Elon's confident gaze, as if promising that everything would be fine. Amanda woke up in her hospital room a few hours later. The first thing she felt was emptiness in her stomach. Her hand instinctively darted to where her baby had been. My baby, she whispered in panic. Where is my baby? She's here, a quiet voice came from the right. Amanda turned her head and saw something she would never forget. Elon Musk, one of the most powerful men in the world, sitting in a chair next to her bed, holding a tiny bundle in his arms. She? Amanda asked, her voice shaking with emotion. Elon carefully stood up and walked over to the bed, carefully carrying the newborn. Meet your daughter, Amanda, he said, carefully handing the child over to her mother. 10 pounds, 50 grams. All her fingers are in place, and very strong lungs. Amanda looked at her daughter's tiny face, unable to hold back tears of happiness. She's beautiful. Perfect, Elon agreed, his voice carrying a warmth rarely associated with his public persona. And how did the operation go? There were some complications, Elon answered honestly. The bleeding was more severe than usual. Dr. James said it was serious, but they were able to stabilize everything quickly thanks to an experienced team and modern equipment. Amanda pulled her daughter closer, knowing that neither of them might survive the day. Thank you, she whispered. I can never thank you enough. No need for thanks, Elon shook his head. Just promise that you'll take advantage of this second chance, that you'll become the midwife you've always dreamed of. I promise, Amanda replied, looking at her daughter. I swear on my life. Suddenly there was a knock on the door of the ward, and a man in a formal suit entered with a leather folder. Mr. Musk, the documents you requested, he said, handing the folder to Elon. Thank you, James. Elon nodded, quickly scanning the contents. Everything is fine. You can go. As the man left, Elon turned to Amanda. I made a few decisions while you were in the operating room. I hope you don't mind. He opened the folder and began listing. First, all medical expenses are fully covered. Second, I have arranged a new apartment for you in North Phoenix. A safe area, close to good schools. 3 bedrooms, fully furnished, including a nursery. Amanda opened her mouth to object, but Elon continued. Third, you have been accepted into the University of Arizona's midwifery program with a full scholarship. Classes begin in 6 months to give you time to recover and adjust to motherhood. He turned the page. Fourth, a nurse with a medical degree to watch the baby while you're at school. And fifth, a trust fund for your daughter's education. Amanda was stunned. I can't. This is too generous. It's a practical help in a difficult situation, Elon replied calmly. And there's one more idea I'd like to discuss. He showed her another document. I plan to create a charity initiative to support single mothers who find themselves in difficult financial situations. The program will provide medical assistance, educational opportunities, and childcare support. After receiving an education and some experience, you could take an active part in its work. Amanda looked shocked. Me? To work for a program like this? But I have no experience in charity or administration? Experience comes with time, Elon said confidently. You will go through this path yourself, From difficulties to stability. Who better than you will understand what women really need in such a situation? He gently touched the newborn's cheek. And I want the foundation to be named after your daughter. What are you going to name her? Amanda looked at her baby thinking. I was thinking about the name Hope. Hope. Because she gave me hope, even when it seemed like there was no future. The Hope Foundation, Elon nodded. Sounds perfect. At that moment, little Hope opened her tiny eyes and seemed to look straight at both of them, as if blessing this moment and accepting her role in the story that was just beginning. The next 48 hours passed like a whirlwind. Amanda's condition stabilized, and little Hope turned out to be a strong and healthy baby, despite her premature birth. News of Elon Musk's unexpected philanthropy and the creation of the Hope Foundation quickly spread through the media, causing a wave of both admiration and skepticism. On the morning of the third day, Amanda was sitting in a chair by the window of her hospital room, holding her daughter in her arms and watching the sun rise over Phoenix, when she heard a knock on the door. Come in, she said, expecting to see the nurse for her morning checkup. Instead, a young man in expensive but casually dressed clothes walked into the room, his face expressing a mixture of awkwardness and a certain amount of irritation. Amanda, he said quietly, remaining at the door as if unsure of his right to be there. She froze, instantly recognizing that voice, even though she hadn't heard it for almost 7 months. Brandon, her voice was surprisingly calm. What are you doing here? Brandon Foster, the father of her child, took a few hesitant steps into the room. I saw the news. Are you, both of you, okay? Now, yes, Amanda replied, instinctively pulling Hope closer to her. Though that shouldn't concern you. You made your position clear 7 months ago. Brandon had the good sense to look ashamed. I panicked, okay? I wasn't ready to be a father. Was I ready to be a mother? Amanda asked, her voice calm, even as emotions raged inside. You think I wasn't scared? But I didn't run away. Brandon ran his hand through his hair, a gesture that she had once found attractive, but now found irritating. I came to apologize, he said. And I think I'm ready to try being a father. Amanda looked at him incredulously. After Elon Musk took us under his wing? After we became news? What a coincidence. That's not fair, Brandon countered, a slight blush betraying his embarrassment. Yes, the news has given me pause, but that doesn't mean my intentions are impure. Your intentions were never pure, Brandon, Amanda replied quietly, and they don't matter. Hope and I can do just fine without you. Hope? You named her Hope? He came closer, trying to look at the child's face. Can I see her? She is my daughter, after all. Before Amanda could answer, the door opened again, and Elon walked in. He paused for a moment, assessing the situation. Sorry for the intrusion, he said. I can come back later. No, Amanda said quickly. Please stay. Mr. Musk, this is Brandon Foster, Hope's father. The biological father, she clarified, looking directly at Brandon. Elon nodded, his face betraying no emotion. Mr. Foster, I've heard of you. Brandon looked unsure, clearly uncomfortable with the billionaire's presence. Mr. Musk, I'm grateful for everything you've done for Amanda and my daughter. I did what needed to be done, Elon replied simply. What you needed to do. Brandon flushed with suppressed anger. With all due respect, this is a family matter. Family, Amanda asked. You gave up on us. You called the pregnancy my problem. You said it would ruin your career. I was wrong, Brandon insisted. People make mistakes. They deserve second chances. You have to earn a second chance, Elon interjected, his voice calm but firm. Not just demand it when it's convenient. Brandon turned to him. With all due respect, Mr. Musk, you have no right to interfere. This is between Amanda and me. And Hope, Amanda added. Don't forget about her, the person you helped create and then refused to acknowledge. I'm here now, aren't I? Brandon's voice rose. I'm trying to fix everything. Why? Elon asked suddenly. Why now? Brandon hesitated. Because I realized that I did the wrong thing. After seeing us on TV, Amanda elaborated, after hearing that Elon Musk was interested in us, that there was a trust fund and new opportunities, that's not fair, Brandon countered. Not fair? Amanda finally began to lose her composure. It wasn't fair to leave a pregnant woman alone, It wasn't fair to block my number when I called to tell her about my first ultrasound. It wasn't fair to go on with my life while I worked double shifts to save up for the birth. Little Hope, sensing her mother's tension, began to cry. Amanda immediately softened, rocking her daughter and whispering soothing words to her. Brandon looked at them with an unreadable expression on his face. I want to be a part of her life, Amanda. I have a right to be. Rights, Elon interjected, his voice hardening. Let's talk about rights. A child has a right to care, protection, and support, all of which you refuse to provide. Amanda had a right to your support during her pregnancy, which you refused to provide. So don't talk about rights, Mr. Foster. Talk about responsibility, which you refuse to accept. Brandon turned to Elon, his face red with anger. You have no right to judge me. Who are you to interfere in our lives? Just because you have money, you think you can buy yourself a family? Brandon, Amanda protested. Enough! Mr. Musk saved our lives, literally. The doctors said that without emergency surgery, we could both have died. And where were you, Mr. Foster, when Amanda was working night shifts 8 months pregnant? Elon asked. Where were you when she couldn't afford regular doctor visits? Where were you when she went into premature labor and was alone in her apartment? Brandon was silent, unable to find an answer. I'm not trying to buy a family, Elon continued in a softer tone. I'm trying to help a person who deserves a chance at a better life. Amanda is an incredibly strong woman who could have done it without my help. But why should she have to fight alone when society can and should support her? He turned to Amanda. And I don't make decisions for Amanda. All decisions about the future are hers and hers alone. Amanda took a deep breath, looking at her former partner. Brandon, I will not interfere with your right to know your daughter. If you really want to be a part of her life, we can discuss it through lawyers. But I will not come back to you. And I will not allow you to use Hope or the situation with Mr. Musk for your own gain. For personal gain? Brandon asked. What do you mean? Jessica called me yesterday, Amanda replied, referring to their mutual friend. She said you were bragging about how you were going to reunite with your family and meet Elon Musk, how that could lead to new opportunities. Brandon turned pale, clearly not expecting his plans to be revealed. I came here with honest intentions, he insisted, though his voice was no longer as confident. Then prove it, Amanda suggested. Not to me, to Hope. Be the father she deserves, not for connections or money, for her. Brandon stood hesitantly, looking at the baby in Amanda's arms. Your choice, Brandon, Amanda said quietly, just like 7 months ago. But think carefully this time. A tense silence filled the room. Finally, Brandon nodded. Okay, I'll contact you in a week or two when things have calmed down a bit. He headed for the door, but stopped next to Elon. I don't know what you have in mind, Mr. Musk. But remember, Hope is my daughter, not yours. Elon met his gaze calmly. I understand that perfectly, Mr. Foster. The question is, do you understand it? There was silence in the room after Brandon left. Amanda looked exhausted from the confrontation. I didn't expect him to show up, she finally said. I should have seen this coming, Elon replied. News travels fast, especially when money and media personalities are involved. He sat down on the edge of the bed. Amanda, I need to make something clear. I am not trying to take Hope's father's place, and I have no personal motives in this situation. I know, Amanda said quietly, and I appreciate it. But Brandon is right about one thing. This is a weird situation. Why are you so interested in us? Really, Elon thought, looking out the window at the city spread out below. You know, I grew up in South Africa, he began, and I saw extremes there. Rich and poor, side by side. I saw people struggling in a system that was stacked against them. He turned to Amanda. When I met you at that gas station, I didn't just see a pregnant woman in a difficult situation. I saw a systemic problem. In the richest country in the world, a woman is forced to work night shifts in her final months of pregnancy, forced to choose between prenatal care and paying rent. His voice grew more passionate. This isn't just a personal tragedy, Amanda. It's a failure of society. And when I see a problem I can solve, even for one person, I feel a responsibility to do it. And creating a fund? Amanda asked. Is that part of the solution? This is just the beginning, Elon nodded. Your story is the story of thousands of women across the country. Women who don't need charity, but justice and opportunity. He gently touched Hope's hand, and the baby instinctively grabbed his finger with her tiny hand. This is a partnership, Amanda. I have the resources and the platform. You have the experience and the insight. Together, we can create something that will truly change lives. Amanda looked at her daughter, trying to process everything that had happened in the last 3 days. Her life had changed so drastically that it felt like she had entered an alternate reality. You know, I always thought I had to cope on my own, she said quietly. That asking for help was a sign of weakness. That's the biggest misconception of our society, Elon responded. We glorify individualism and self-sufficiency, forgetting that humanity's greatest achievements have always been the result of cooperation. He smiled, looking at Hope. Even creating new life takes two. Amanda nodded, feeling some of the weight she had carried for so long begin to lift from her shoulders. I accept your offer, she said. All your offers. Education, the foundation, everything. I'm glad, Elon simply replied. But on one condition, Amanda added, her gaze turning serious. I don't want to be just a recipient of aid. I want to be a partner, an equal partner in creating this fund. That's exactly what I was suggesting, Elon smiled. An equal partnership. Your expertise is as valuable as my resources. He stood up, preparing to leave. Rest, Amanda. Recover. Enjoy your first few days with Hope. We'll worry about the details later. He was already at the door when Amanda called out to him. Elon, what if Brandon really comes back? What if he wants to be a part of our lives? Elon turned, his gaze serious. This is your decision, Amanda, not mine. But remember, it's not their words that define a man. It's their actions. Brandon showed you who he is through his actions. Trust them. With these words, he left, leaving Amanda alone with her daughter and thoughts of the future that suddenly opened up before her, full of new possibilities and hope. That evening, after Hope had fallen asleep in her hospital bed and the nurses had done their final checkups, Amanda sat by the window, looking out at the lights of Phoenix. Her phone kept buzzing with messages and notifications as the story of Elon Musk's unexpected generosity and the creation of the Hope Foundation spread across social media and news sites. Most of the comments were enthusiastic, praising the billionaire's kindness, but there were also skeptical voices, those who suspected ulterior motives or thought it was all a PR stunt. Amanda couldn't blame them. She herself had doubted Elon's sincerity at first. Suddenly her phone rang, an unfamiliar number. She usually didn't answer such calls, but something told her to take this one. Hello? Amanda Hartley? Asked a female voice, professional and reserved. Yes, it's me. My name is Carol Lewis, a reporter for the Phoenix Times. We're doing a story about your situation and Mr. Musk's generosity. Can you answer a few questions? Amanda hesitated. On the one hand, she valued her privacy. On the other, she knew that the Hope Foundation story needed to be told to help other women. What questions are you interested in, Miss Lewis? First of all, how did you meet Mr. Musk? Was it really at a gas station, as they say? Yes, it's true, Amanda replied. I was working the night shift when he came in. And he just offered to help you, without any conditions? He saw a pregnant woman working at night and it touched him. I think he saw not only my personal situation, but also a larger issue. And now he's creating a foundation in your name? My daughter's name, Amanda corrected. The Hope Foundation, to support other mothers in similar situations. It almost sounds too good to be true, the journalist noted. Do you think Mr. Musk might have ulterior motives? Maybe PR or personal interest? Amanda sighed. There they were, the inevitable suspicions. Ms. Lewis, my life has changed completely in the last 3 days. I met Elon Musk at a time when he could have just bought a bottle of water and walked away. Instead, he saw a person in need and decided to help. If it weren't for his intervention, my daughter and I might not have survived complications during childbirth. She paused, collecting her thoughts. I'm not naive. I understand that rich and powerful people rarely act without some kind of self-interest. But I saw him hold my newborn daughter while I was unconscious after surgery. I saw his genuine joy when I got better. And I heard his passion when he spoke about the systemic problems that had led me to this point. Her voice hardened. So yes, there may be a PR element. There may be other factors that I don't know about. But the underlying motivation? I believe it's a genuine desire to help and make a difference. And if we're going to suspect every act of kindness, what kind of society are we building? There was silence on the other end of the line. That's a very powerful answer, Ms. Hartley. May I quote you? Yes, you can. And add this. The Hope Foundation is not a story about me or Mr. Musk. It's a story about thousands of women who face the choice between their child's health and economic survival. And if our story helps just one of them, it will all have been worth it. After the call ended, Amanda put the phone down and walked over to the crib where Hope was sleeping. She gently touched her daughter's soft cheek. "You know, baby, sometimes the world can surprise you," she whispered. "Sometimes miracles happen, even when you've stopped believing in them." Hope sighed softly in her sleep, and Amanda smiled. "You were born under a lucky star, my little one, and together we will help others find theirs." At that moment, her phone vibrated again. A message from Elon. "Did you see the article on CNN? The Hope Foundation has already received $3 million in donations. And this is just the beginning. Relax, tomorrow is the big day." Amanda smiled, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow would be a big day indeed. And the day after that. And all the days after that. Because now she didn't just have hope, she had a goal and the power to achieve it. The next morning brought unexpected news. Amanda woke up to the sound of the television on. A nurse had turned it on while checking Hope's vitals. An unexpected twist in the story of Elon Musk and a young Phoenix mother, the news anchor reported. The baby's father, who Amanda Hartley says was not involved in her life during her pregnancy, has contacted lawyers to seek parental rights and possible involvement in the management of funds allocated for the child's future. Brandon Foster claims he planned to rekindle his relationship with Amanda Hartley even before the famous entrepreneur came into her life. Amanda froze, not believing her ears. Brandon filed a lawsuit after yesterday's conversation? Her confusion was interrupted by the phone ringing. It was Elon. "Amanda, have you seen the news?" "Just now," she replied, feeling her anxiety rising. "He really did it? After everything that was said?" "Unfortunately, that's true," Elon replied, a hint of irritation in his voice. "His attorney has sent a preliminary request to my legal team. Not only is he talking about parental rights, but he's also hinting at an interest in having some say in the management of the funds that will be allocated to Hope. And he's also talking about some moral damages from the publicity surrounding the situation." Amanda felt weak. He said he wanted to be a father, but all he really wanted was money. "Typical," Elon replied. "But don't worry. My lawyers are already working on it. Mr. Foster won't get a dime from the Hope Fund." "What about parental rights?" Amanda asked, her voice shaking. "What if the court forces me to share custody? Given his history of absence from your lives, it's unlikely. But we'll fight anyway. I'll testify personally if necessary." There was a knock on the door of the ward, and a slender woman in a formal suit entered. "This is my lawyer, Jessica Kim," Elon said over the phone. "I sent her to you to discuss strategy." Amanda thanked him and ended the conversation. Jessica Kim was a warm but determined woman who quickly grasped the situation. "Miss Hartley, let's get this straight. Mr. Foster didn't provide you with any support during your pregnancy, did he?" "Absolutely none. He blocked my number, deleted me from social networks." "Do you have any evidence of this? Messages, letters, witnesses?" Amanda thought about it. "I have screenshots of his messages where he says outright that he wants nothing to do with the child. And my neighbor, Mrs. Donovan, knows the whole story." Jessica nodded, taking notes. "Okay, now about the trust fund. Mr. Musk created it exclusively for Hope without mentioning Mr. Foster, correct?" "Yeah, he didn't even know Brandon's name when he proposed the foundation." "Great. That will give us a strong position. Now about the media side." They discussed strategy for over an hour, considering every possible scenario. Jessica was confident that Brandon's lawsuit would be dismissed, but warned that the process could be long and public. "Be prepared for him to try to smear you in the media," she said. "Maybe claim you manipulated Mr. Musk or used your pregnancy for personal gain." Amanda turned pale. "But that's absurd. I didn't even know I'd meet Elon Musk." "Unfortunately, these things often involve dirty tactics," Jessica sighed. "But we have the advantage of truth on our side. And of course, Mr. Musk's resources." Amanda felt drained after Jessica left. Just yesterday, she thought all her problems were solved, and now she was facing a legal battle. Hope woke up and began to whimper softly. Amanda picked her up, feeling her motherly instinct fill her with new determination. "I won't let him use you, baby," she whispered. "You deserve a better father, or none at all, if the alternative is a man like Brandon." At that moment, the door of the ward opened again, and Elon walked in. He looked tired but determined. "Jessica told me about your conversation," he said. "Do you agree with the proposed strategy?" Amanda nodded. "Yes, although all this publicity scares me." "It's inevitable, given my involvement," Elon admitted. "But we can use that to our advantage. to focus on the Hope Foundation and the problems it's designed to solve, rather than on personal drama. He stepped closer, looking at Hope. "Can I?" Amanda handed him the baby, and Elon carefully picked her up. There was something touching about the way this powerful man held the tiny girl so carefully. "You know, I've been thinking about this all night," he said quietly, "about why this situation has affected me so much. And I realized it's not just about social injustice." He paused, choosing his words. "When I saw you at that gas station, so strong despite all the circumstances, I saw my mother. She too was alone in a foreign country, with small children, faced with misunderstanding and condemnation." Amanda was surprised by this personal confession. Elon Musk rarely spoke about his family in public appearances. "She did it," he continued, "as you would have done, even without my help. But at what cost? How much stress, fear, sleepless nights? How many missed opportunities?" He carefully adjusted Hope's blanket. "When you have the resources and the ability to help, it's almost criminal not to, especially when it comes to a child's future." Amanda was touched by his sincerity. "Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know. Not many people know," Elon smiled. "I prefer to be seen as a technological visionary rather than someone with a sentimental side." He handed Hope back to Amanda. "There's something else I wanted to discuss regarding your future housing." "You mentioned an apartment in North Phoenix," Amanda recalled. "Yes, but in light of recent events, I think we should consider a more secure option," Elon said. "I have a property in a gated community in Scottsdale. Gated community, 24/7 security. I think that would be best for you and Hope, at least until the situation with Mr. Foster is resolved." Amanda hesitated. Moving to such a place seemed like another step into a new, unknown life. "I don't want to abuse your kindness," she said. "That's not kindness. That's practicality," Elon countered. "The media attention on this story is enormous. Reporters have already learned your current address. You need a safe place where you can recuperate and focus on Hope without worrying about reporters outside your window or unexpected visits from Mr. Foster." Amanda shuddered at the thought of Brandon showing up at her door. After his lawsuit, she didn't know what to expect from him. "Okay," she finally agreed, "but only temporarily. I don't want Hope to grow up in an artificial world of privilege, divorced from reality." Elon nodded respectfully. "I understand, and I agree. Too comfortable a life does not build a strong character." Their conversation was interrupted by a phone call, this time Elon's. He looked at the screen and frowned. "Excuse me, I have to answer. This is Jessica." Amanda watched as his expression changed from neutral to shocked to angry. "He what? When did this happen?" "I understand. Yes, I'm with her now." "Of course. Act immediately." He ended the call and turned to Amanda, his face grim. "Mr. Foster just gave an interview to Fox News. He claims that you manipulated me, that this whole situation was a carefully planned plot on your part to gain access to my wealth. He even suggested that there is a romantic relationship between us." Amanda was shocked. "What? But that's a total lie. How dare he?" "This is his strategy," Elon said sternly. "He is trying to discredit you to strengthen his position in court. If you are a manipulator, then his absence during the pregnancy can be presented in a more favorable light." He clenched his fists. "But he miscalculated. He doesn't understand who he's dealing with." "What do you mean?" "We're going to fight back. Right now. Right now," Elon said firmly. "A joint interview, you and me, telling the whole truth from start to finish, showing the world who Brandon Foster really is." Amanda hesitated. "I'm not sure. I've never performed in front of cameras." "You don't have to be a professional," Elon said softly. "Just speak honestly, like you would to a friend. Tell your story. The truth speaks for itself." He paused, seeing her hesitation. "Amanda, I understand your concerns, but sometimes it's important to speak up, not just for yourself but for others, for all the women who find themselves in similar situations but don't have the opportunity to be heard." Amanda looked at Hope's sleeping form, her hesitation slowly giving way to certainty. Her daughter deserved to have the truth about her life known, not distorted by Brandon. "Okay," she finally agreed. "I'll do the interview. Hope deserves to have her story start with the truth." Elon nodded approvingly. "Great. We can arrange an interview tomorrow when you're rested. CNN is interested in an exclusive recording." "So soon?" Amanda asked in surprise. "In situations like this, It's important to respond quickly, Elon explained. The longer Brandon's statements go unanswered, the more people are likely to accept them as truth. He headed for the door. I'll send a stylist and a media coordinator. They'll help you get ready. I'll be back in an hour. After he left, Amanda took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She had never pictured herself in the middle of a media scandal, giving an interview on national television. But for hope, for herself, for all the women who found themselves in a similar situation, she was willing to step out of her comfort zone. "We'll get through this, baby," she whispered to her sleeping daughter. "We'll show the world what true strength means." 2 hours later, Amanda's room had been transformed into a makeshift television studio. Cameras, lights, microphones, everything was set up with astonishing efficiency. Amanda, dressed in a simple but elegant dress that emphasized her status as a new mother, sat in a chair next to Elon. Hope slept in a portable crib nearby, under the care of a nurse. "We start recording in 30 seconds, the director warned. Amanda nervously adjusted her hair. "I hope I don't lose my cool in front of the camera." "Just say it like it is," Elon advised calmly. Sincerity is always more persuasive than prepared phrases. As the red light on the camera flashed, Amanda took a deep breath, mentally going over the events of the past few months, the hardships, fears, and loneliness she had endured, as well as the unexpected support and new hope that had appeared in her life. "Good afternoon," began CNN journalist Maria Rodriguez. "Today we have a very special conversation with Elon Musk and Amanda Hartley, a woman whose story has made waves in recent days. Amanda, Elon, thank you for agreeing to do this interview." "Thanks for the opportunity to clear the air," Elon replied, "given the amount of misinformation that's out there." "Yes, let's start with that," Maria said. "This morning, Brandon Foster, the father of Amanda's child, came forward with some serious allegations. He claims that this entire situation is a carefully orchestrated manipulation. How do you respond to that?" Amanda sat up straight, anger giving her strength. "I'll tell you the truth, Maria. Brandon Foster dumped me the moment he found out I was pregnant, blocked my number, unfriended me on social media, told me it was my problem. I didn't hear from him for 7 months until he saw the news about the Hope Foundation and Elon's involvement." Her voice shook with emotion, but she continued. "I was working double shifts at the gas station to save up for the baby. I was saving up for prenatal visits. I was preparing to raise a child alone. And then, miraculously, Elon walked into that gas station. It wasn't planned. It was fate, or luck, or providence. Whatever you want to call it." Maria turned to Elon. "What brings you to this gas station at 2 in the morning, Mr. Musk?" "I was coming back from the negotiations about the new energy initiative," Elon replied. "It was just a casual stop. But when I saw Amanda, a pregnant woman working the night shift, I couldn't just walk by." "And you immediately offered to help her?" "Not really," Elon smiled. "First, I just talked to her. I learned her story, and I was amazed by her strength and determination. That's when I decided I had to help." Maria nodded, then moved on to a more difficult topic. "Brandon Foster has also hinted at a possible romantic relationship between the two of you. What do you think of that?" Amanda blushed indignantly. "That's a complete lie. There is no romantic relationship between Elon and me, and there never has been. He helps me as a person who has seen an injustice and has the ability to correct it. Nothing more." "I fully agree," Elon said seriously. "My actions are motivated solely by a desire to help a person in need and to address a larger social issue through the creation of the Hope Foundation. Any suggestion of a romantic agenda is not only false, but distracts from the real issue, the plight of unsupported pregnant women in our society." Maria paused, then asked the question that seemed to be on many people's minds. "Amanda, aren't you afraid that so much help from Mr. Musk could create dependency? That you'll lose your autonomy?" Amanda didn't hesitate. "No, Maria, because Elon's help isn't about creating dependency, it's about empowerment. He's not just giving me money, he's investing in my education, my future as a professional, and in Hope's future." She looked straight into the camera, her eyes glittering with pent-up emotion. "You know, for 7 months I heard no. No from Brandon when I begged him not to leave us. No from potential employers when they saw my belly. No from the insurance company when I asked for basic prenatal care. And for the first time, someone said yes. Yes, your life matters. Yes, your baby deserves a chance. Yes, you can dream big." Maria nodded, clearly touched by Amanda's sincerity. "Elon, many critics say that while your help to Amanda is commendable, it is an isolated incident that does not address the systemic problem. How do you respond to that?" That's why we're creating the Hope Fund, Elon responded, to help not just Amanda, but thousands of women in similar situations. We've already received millions of dollars in donations, and this is just the beginning. He paused, choosing his words. You know, we often talk about technological progress, about colonizing Mars, about the energy revolution. But what's the point of all this progress if we can't provide for the basic needs of people here on Earth? If a pregnant woman has to risk the health of her child to make ends meet? Suddenly there was confusion in the studio as someone tried to break through security. The camera panned briefly to reveal an enraged Brandon Foster being held back by two security guards. Let me in. I have a right to be here. This is my daughter, he shouted. Amanda paled, instinctively looking back at Hope's crib. Elon immediately stood up, blocking Amanda and the baby with his body. Mr. Foster, this is live television, Maria said sternly. You are disturbing the peace. Am I intruding? Brandon looked outraged. What about them using my family history for media purposes? No one asked my opinion. I'm a father. I have legal rights. Rights? Amanda rose slowly from her chair, her voice quiet but firm. What rights are you talking about, Brandon? The ones you ignored when you offered to fix this for me? Or the ones you ignored for 7 months while I dealt with this on my own? There was silence in the room. Brandon was momentarily taken aback, not expecting such a direct answer. Since you're here, and you want the truth, Amanda continued, now speaking more to the camera than to Brandon, let's tell you the truth. When I told you I was pregnant, you said, that's your problem, not mine. When I asked for support, you said a baby would hurt your career. And when I started having health problems and tried to call you, you just blocked my number. Her voice shook, but she continued. And now, with all the money and all the public attention, he suddenly remembers his fatherhood? No, Brandon. Fatherhood is not a right. It's a responsibility you've given up. Brandon broke free from the guards and stepped forward. You're lying. It wasn't like that. I just panicked. I made mistakes, but I deserve a second chance. And I had the right to support, Amanda cried. Hope had the right to a father who puts her well-being above his ambitions. But you chose your path, Brandon. And it wasn't until Elon came along, it wasn't until the foundation was created, that you suddenly decided you wanted to be in our lives. Brandon changed tactics, his tone becoming accusatory. What about you using my child to get the attention of a billionaire? What about you seducing— Enough, Elon interrupted loudly, stepping forward. Mr. Foster, you are disgracing yourself with these accusations. I met Amanda by chance. I helped her because it was the right thing to do. And now you are demonstrating the very character that made you abandon a pregnant woman. Selfishness and cowardice. In the silence that followed, Brandon looked from Amanda to Elon to the cameras. Slowly, the realization that he had made himself look extremely unfavorable in front of millions of viewers began to sink in. This is not the end, he finally muttered. I have lawyers. I will fight. Fight as much as you want, Amanda said quietly. But remember, every word you say, every action you take is recorded and will be presented in court, including this shameful episode. The guards finally escorted Brandon out of the studio. A tense silence fell. Little Hope, awakened by the noise, began to cry. Amanda quickly went to the crib and picked up her daughter, calming her down. Maria Rodriguez, a professional journalist with many years of experience, seemed speechless in the face of such a nakedly emotional scene on live television. We apologize for this incident, she finally said. Mr. Musk, Amanda, if you wish to interrupt the interview— No, Amanda said firmly, rocking Hope. I started this, and I will finish it. America deserves to hear the whole truth. She walked over to her chair, still holding her daughter. This is my daughter, Hope. I named her that because even in my darkest moments, I never lost hope. And I want every woman in a similar situation to know, you are not alone. There is help. There is hope. Elon sat down next to her. The Hope Fund will work not just in Phoenix, but across the country. We will provide healthcare, educational grants, childcare support, and most importantly, we will fight for systemic change so that no woman has to choose between her child's health and her economic survival. Maria nodded. That's a really impressive initiative. But let me ask you a tough question. What if Brandon Foster wins in court? What if he's awarded partial custody? Amanda didn't shy away from the answer. Then I will abide by the court's order. Despite everything that has happened, I will not prevent Hope from having contact with her biological father if the court deems it beneficial for her. because ultimately, only my daughter's well-being matters. She looked at Hope, who had calmed down and was now looking curiously at the cameras. But I will fight. Fight to make sure my child is protected from volatility and manipulation. Fight to make sure decisions are made based on her best interests, not Brandon's desire for access to the trust fund. Elon put his hand on Amanda's shoulder in a supportive gesture. And she won't fight alone. The Hope Foundation will provide legal support not only to Amanda, but to other women in similar situations. Maria nodded, then turned to the camera. We're getting close to the end of our time on air. Amanda, Elon, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers? Amanda thought for a moment, then nodded. Yes, I want to speak to all the women who are going through what I went through. You may feel alone, you may feel desperate, but remember, you are stronger than you think, and you are not alone. She looked at Elon with gratitude. Not every one of you will meet a billionaire at a gas station, but each of you deserves support and respect. And starting today, the Hope Foundation will work to ensure that. Elon nodded. And I want to speak to men, especially those in Mr. Foster's position. Fatherhood is not a right, it's a privilege and a responsibility. Don't wait for your child to become a tool in the fight for public attention or financial gain. Be there from the start. Support your child's mother. Be the man your child will be proud of. Maria nodded respectfully. Thank you both for being so open and sharing your story, despite all the difficulties. And thank you to little Hope, who took her first TV interview so calmly. When the cameras turned off, Amanda let out a breath, only now realizing how tense she had been. You were amazing, Elon said. Strong, sincere, compelling. I was just telling the truth, Amanda replied, looking at her daughter tenderly. For her sake. The interview went viral. Within an hour, the hashtags Josh Hope Fund and Yosh Amanda Hartley were trending on Twitter. Clips of the confrontation with Brandon were shared across social media. Commentators, celebrities, politicians, everyone weighed in. The majority supported Amanda and Elon. The story of a young mother abandoned in a difficult moment, but who found the strength to fight, touched the hearts of millions. The story of a billionaire using his resources to really help, and not just for public statements, inspired respect even among his critics. But there were those who supported Brandon, believing that the father was being unfairly deprived of the right to a relationship with his child. There were also cynics who claimed that the whole story was a carefully planned PR stunt. For Amanda, these discussions were painful, but she tried not to read the comments and focused on her recovery and caring for Hope. 2 days after the interview, doctors cleared her to leave the clinic. Following Elon's advice, she moved into a promised home in a gated community in Scottsdale, where she could recover in safety and privacy. But the calm didn't last long. The morning after the move, Amanda received a court hearing notice. Not only had Brandon not backed down from his public humiliation, but he had stepped up his attack, now demanding full custody of Hope. This is absurd, Jessica Kim said after reviewing the documents. He has no basis for full custody. This is just a pressure tactic. Why would he do that? Amanda asked, rocking Hope in the rocking chair. His reputation is ruined after that interview. Why continue? Money, Jessica answered simply. Hope's trust fund is substantial, and as the biological father, he feels entitled to it. Amanda shook her head. It's not about money. It's about control. He couldn't control me when I was pregnant, and that pissed him off. Now he's trying to take control in other ways. At that moment, her phone rang. Elon's number. Amanda, have you seen the news? He asked without preamble. What's the news? Brandon gave a new interview. Fox News. This time he used a different tactic. He cried in front of the cameras. He said that he made a mistake, that he regretted it, that he wanted to be a good father, that he was depressed when he found out about the pregnancy, but now he has gone through therapy and changed. Amanda felt her heart clench. And they'll believe him? After everything he's done? Some yes, Elon answered honestly. People love stories of repentance and redemption, especially when they are presented so skillfully. What should we do? Prepare for trial, Elon said firmly. Gather all the evidence of his absence during the pregnancy, evidence of his neglect, his own messages where he rejects the child. He paused. And I must offer you one more security measure. After this interview, public opinion may partially swing in his favor. There will be people who will consider us villains, preventing the reunification of a father with his child. What do you suggest? Perhaps we should move to a safer place for a while. I have property in several states. I could offer you a house in a gated community in Colorado, where you can recover, get used to motherhood, without worrying about journalists and possible unwanted visits. Amanda thought about it. Do you think Brandon might try to bother us? I don't rule out the possibility that he could cause trouble, Elon replied seriously. He's clearly upset and humiliated after the interview. And now that he's publicly announced his intention to be a father, he might take rash actions. Amanda looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully in her arms. The thought of her peace being disturbed was unbearable. I'll think about your offer, she replied, but I'm not sure I'm ready to go that far. It might look like an attempt to hide. I completely understand your concerns, Elon agreed. It's just one of the options. Jessica will continue to work on the legal side of things to protect your interests. They agreed on the details, and Amanda began packing for the sudden trip. But as she packed Hope's clothes, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was running away. That Brandon, for all his faults, had forced her to leave her home, her country. No, she said suddenly out loud. I will not hide. I will not give him this power over us. She called Elon and explained her decision. I understand how you feel, he said after a pause, but Hope's safety must be a priority. That's why I have to stay, Amanda insisted. If I leave now, it could be used against me. That I'm trying to interfere with the child's relationship with his father. That I'm not acting in Hope's best interests. Elon was silent, thinking about her words. Instead, I suggest we meet with him, Amanda continued. Not in court, not in front of cameras, just the two of us. Maybe if we talk like adults, we can come to some kind of solution that's in Hope's best interests. It's risky, Elon countered, especially after that interview. He's unpredictable. Life is full of risks, Amanda said quietly, but sometimes you have to face them to find a real solution. After a long conversation, Elon reluctantly agreed to her plan, but insisted on additional security measures. The meeting was arranged in a neutral location, a conference room at the Phoenix Grand Hotel. Elon's security provided security, but kept a sufficient distance to avoid creating an atmosphere of confrontation. When Amanda walked into the room, holding Hope in her arms, Brandon was already there, waiting. He looked different, more groomed, in a suit, with a serious expression. It was a look carefully crafted for his new public persona as a repentant father. Thank you for agreeing to meet, he said, standing up. His gaze was fixed on Hope. She's so beautiful. Yes, Amanda answered simply, sitting down across from him. She's special. Can I hold her? Hold? Amanda hesitated. This was more than just a request to hold the baby. This was the first test of trust, the first step toward a possible compromise. Okay, she finally said, carefully handing it over to Hope. Brandon took the baby with unexpected tenderness, supporting her head as Amanda had taught him by her example. Hope, awake, looked at him with that mindless curiosity that is characteristic of newborns. She has your eyes, Brandon said quietly. And your nose, Amanda replied, noticing a resemblance she had previously chosen to ignore. For a moment they were both silent, enchanted by the little creature they had created together, despite all their differences and conflicts. Why did you do this, Brandon? Amanda finally asked. Why did you leave us? And now you suddenly want to be a father? Brandon sighed, still looking at Hope. I was scared. When you told me you were pregnant, I just wasn't ready. My career was just starting. I was only thinking about myself. And now, Amanda pressed, what's changed? Other than Elon Musk and the trust fund? Brandon looked up, pain in his eyes. I deserve this mistrust. But the truth is, I've really been rethinking a lot these past months. I saw you a few times from afar, pregnant, alone. I wanted to approach you, but pride, fear, shame, they held me back. And you decided to act only after news about the fund appeared? It was a catalyst, yes, he admitted, but not for the money like you think. When I saw the news, when I saw you had a baby without me, something clicked. I realized I was missing out on the most important thing in life. He paused, rocking Hope gently. I'm not going to lie and say I've changed overnight. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes, like you saw during the interview. But I want to try. I want to be a part of her life. I want to fix what I ruined. Amanda watched him carefully, trying to figure out if he was being sincere or if this was just another manipulation. What about filing for full custody? Is that part of your desire to fix? Brandon shook his head. It was a mistake. I acted out of anger after our confrontation on air. I'll be dropping this lawsuit tomorrow. And what do you want instead? Being able to see Hope, regularly, being her father, a real father, not just a biological donor. He carefully handed the baby back to Amanda. I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I know I have to earn that trust, but I'm asking you to give me a chance. Amanda held Hope close to her chest, thinking. She remembered Elon's words about how a person is defined by their actions, not their words. Brandon had demonstrated who he was through his actions. Could she risk her daughter's happiness based on his promises to change? I can't give you an answer right now, she finally said. I need to think about it, and I need to consult with my lawyers. I understand, Brandon nodded, but know that no matter what you decide, I will be dropping the full custody suit. It was wrong of me. When they broke up, Amanda felt emotionally drained. Part of her wanted to trust Brandon, to see him as the father Hope deserved. But 7 months of abandonment and fear couldn't be erased with one conversation. When she returned home, she found Elon waiting for her on the terrace. How did it go? He asked, helping her with the baby bag. I don't know, Amanda answered honestly. He seems sincere. He promises to drop the full custody suit. He says he just wants the opportunity to be a father. Elon sighed. And what do you think? I think every child deserves a father if possible, but I also think Brandon needs to prove he can be one. She hesitated. I'm thinking a gradual approach. Short supervised visits at first. See if he keeps his word. Elon nodded. It's a wise decision. Discreet, but not closing the door completely. He paused, then added, Amanda, whatever you decide, the Hope Foundation will continue to operate. Your future and Hope's future are assured, regardless of your relationship with Mr. Foster. Amanda looked at him gratefully. You know, through all this ordeal, all this drama with Brandon, I sometimes forget how much my life has changed because of you. Just a week ago, I was working night shifts at a gas station, afraid that I wouldn't be able to provide for my child's basic needs. Elon smiled. You did the best you could in an impossible situation. I simply provided the resources. The real hero here is you. Amanda shook her head. No, the real hero is Hope. She brought hope not only to me, but through the foundation, to thousands of other women. At that moment, her phone rang. Jessica Kim, her lawyer. Amanda, I just received a message from Mr. Foster's lawyers. He intends to drop his request for full custody. He really did change his mind, Amanda said quietly, feeling some relief. Yes, and that's not all. He suggests a more reasonable option. Short regular meetings, starting with 1 hour a week in the presence of an independent observer, with the possibility of gradually increasing the time if all goes well. That seems like a reasonable approach, Amanda admitted. He also indicates that he will not seek control over the financial support provided for Hope. The letter states that he believes it is appropriate that all funds allocated for the child's education and welfare remain under your control. Amanda exchanged a surprised look with Elon. He really said that? The letter includes his comment. My primary goal is to be a part of my daughter's life, not to control financial matters. Given our difficult relationship with Amanda, I recognize that it is prudent for the child's benefit to trust her with the management of the funds allocated for Hope. After finishing the conversation, Amanda sat in silence, pondering the unexpected turn of events. Do you think he is sincere? She finally asked Ilona. I don't know, he answered honestly. People can change, especially when they face the consequences of their actions. But change is rarely instantaneous or complete. He looked at the sleeping Hope. However, his offer gives Hope a chance to know her father, with sufficient safety measures, and that is important for her development. Amanda nodded, making her decision. I'll agree to his terms. Give him a chance to prove he can be the father Hope deserves. She looked at Elon. And I still want to study, to become a midwife, to help other women bring children into this world with the support and dignity that is so often lacking. The Hope Foundation will support you every step of the way, Elon assured her. As he left, Amanda walked him out onto the porch. The sunset painted the Phoenix sky in shades of orange and purple, symbolizing the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. You know, she said, looking at the spectacle, a week ago, I didn't believe in miracles. Now I not only believe in them, I've become part of them. Elon smiled. Sometimes the most important meetings in our lives happen in the most unexpected places. Who would have thought that an Oasis gas station at 2 a.m. would be the start of something so significant? Life is full of surprises, Amanda agreed, looking down at her sleeping child. And when the darkest night comes, There is always hope for the dawn. With that, she turned and walked into the house, holding the future in her arms. Not just hers and Hope's, but also thousands of other women who, thanks to a chance meeting at a gas station, now had a chance at a better life. Elon watched the door close, feeling a strange mix of emotions. He had built companies that changed the world, launched rockets into space, dreamed of colonizing Mars. But somehow this simple story, the story of a single mother and her child, a story of hope in the midst of despair, felt like one of his most important accomplishments. Maybe, he thought, turning back to his car, the real future of humanity lies not in the stars, but in those little creatures who now sleep in their beds, protected by the love of their mothers. And maybe true greatness lies not in technological breakthroughs, but in those moments when one person decides to reach out to another. With that thought, he rode off into the night, leaving behind a home where mother and daughter were beginning a new chapter in their lives. A chapter filled not only with hope, but with the certainty that from now on their future would be not just one of survival, but of prosperity.